Hi, I'm Dave Jones, meteorologist with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. This is an update on the tropics for Sunday, August 15th. We have Tropical Storm Fred that has regenerated, and we have Tropical Storm Grace that is threatening Puerto Rico and also Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And we also have another tropical system spinning out in the Pacific Ocean, not threatening any land, but it is a major hurricane. You can see that on this satellite image. Use my cursor here and I'll point it right out. This is Hurricane Linda. It's a major hurricane, winds of 115 miles per hour. So in the Pacific and the Atlantic, the tropics are very active. Let's move over here into the Gulf of Mexico. This is Fred that actually regenerated a little bit more from an open wave to a tropical depression, now to a tropical storm. The Hurricane Hunter aircraft from the Air Force and NOAA are investigating the storm, have found low-level circulation, and have found tropical storm force winds. So therefore, Fred has come back to life and is now threatening the panhandle of Florida and the southeast with heavy rains. I'll dive into that in more detail in just a minute. Also then, further to the southeast, you can see this swirl of clouds. That is Tropical Storm Grace. While not very impressive on satellite imagery, it doesn't have to be. Grace is a rain producer and will be impacting Puerto Rico and Haiti and the Dominican Republic with some heavy rains. And we've had a major earthquake there. I'll dive in there closer in just a second too. Let me get a little bit closer in here on the satellite picture so you can see what Grace is doing. And I'm going to focus in first on Fred, because Fred is indeed the threat, the more immediate threat for heavy rains, potentially flooding rains. And that is something that is going to impact the Florida Panhandle and also Alabama. So you can see that in motion there. I'm going to go over to GeoCollaborate. You can see the active tropics. This is the track of Fred, the expected track of Fred, and here is Grace. So let's dive in a little bit closer here to Fred and see what's going on. So Fred is well off the coast of South Florida. It's west of Florida, and so is the core of the strong wind. That core is right here, highlighted in yellow, has winds of 40 miles per hour with some higher gusts. The Hurricane Hunter aircraft did find some stronger winds in some of these stronger rain bands here. And that's because when the winds are strong up above, the rain can drive that wind down to the surface. I don't think that's going to reach the west coast of Florida. I think it's going to remain out in the Gulf of Mexico. But we'll see slowly as this sort of wraps around the center of Fred. May not do it completely by the time it makes landfall, but Fred is expected to strengthen. And you can see that on this cone forecast here. Don't worry about this cone. That's for Grace later in the week. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But looks like Fred is forecast to increase in intensity to about a 50 mile per hour storm prior to landfall, which is expected tomorrow evening. So the weather's going to go downhill early, probably starting tonight along the panhandle of Florida with these rain bands and rain showers. But the core of the storm will come inland around between 6 and 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. And that means that there's going to be a chance of floods, flooding rains. Matter of fact, if I turn on and activate the significant weather for today, nothing shows up because we're just going to see scattered showers and thunderstorms along the coastline. There's nothing there. But if I turn on the significant forecast for tomorrow from the Weather Prediction Center at the National Weather Service, you see now that we do have a significant chance of flash flooding. If I click on that, GeoCollaborate pulls out that information from the National Weather Service. You can see it displayed there. Flash flooding is possible in the enclosed area during the day tomorrow. So those of you who live along the Gulf Coast, please stay tuned to the National Weather Service, your local broadcast meteorologist, because there could be anywhere from 5 to 6, perhaps even 8 inches of rain in some areas with those stronger storms. There's also a chance to the right of where this storm makes landfall, of where Fred makes landfall, there could be some isolated tornadoes as well. All of your local broadcast meteorologists will be on top of it. Certainly the National Weather Service will. That's their job, to protect you and to protect life and property. So it looks like Fred is expected to make landfall again tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. Now let's back out a little bit and I'll go down to Grace and see what's going on with Grace. Grace has been rather unimpressive in satellite imagery. It needs to get its act together more if it wants to grow up to be a big boy. As far as a storm is concerned, we don't want that. We don't want it to increase in intensity, but it is already a rainmaker. And you can see the rain from the Puerto Rico radar extending well north of Puerto Rico here. And this is the island of Puerto Rico right here. The white dots that you see are earthquakes. We're tied into the USGS. We see earthquakes happen within 1 minute of them actually happening. So all of these white dots are earthquakes that are going on. They're probably being felt. Some of them are quite not really that deep. Here's one that's only 3 miles, maybe almost 4 miles deep, a 3.0. So I'm sure people in southern Puerto Rico are feeling a little bit of the ground shaking. Meanwhile, here's Grace. Here's the wind field right here. It's remaining off the coast of Puerto Rico, so we don't really expect strong tropical storm force winds to come ashore, but tropical storm force wind gusts could happen as these stronger bands of showers and thunderstorms move in. Plus, you have the mountains in Puerto Rico that could obstruct some winds and bring those down to the surface. So that's what's going on in Puerto Rico. You see some strong thunderstorms here. I'm going to move over to the west here, and it does look like that Grace is forecast to move over Dominican Republic and Haiti. Unfortunately, they had the major earthquake. That's this one right here, the 7.2 yesterday. More than 300 people reported killed so far. I'm sure that total is going to go up as they sift through the rubble. But the storm is going to come across during the day tomorrow, into tomorrow night, and into Tuesday morning. They're going to see some strong winds and mainly heavy rain. That's going to kick off flash floods, mudslides that could happen in that area. And again, the recovery is going on in this area of Haiti, south and west of Port-au-Prince. However, a lot of people felt that shaking. That was twice as strong as the 7.0 earthquake they had in Port-au-Prince in 2010. 7.2 is twice as strong as a 7.0, the logarithmic scale. So we're seeing aftershocks here, and all those aftershocks are really going to outline that fault line, that deformation zone where the earthquake happened. So let me back out a little bit and continue, Grace, on its forecast track. It looks like very similar to the track of Fred, where it's expected to go across Cuba as a tropical storm. The intensity is going to come down. It may even, again, weaken like Fred did into an open wave, into a tropical wave. But then it looks like it's going to take a path slightly different than Fred, right? Fred is turned to the north here a little bit, and you can see Fred's track. This one is expected to go out more into the center of the Gulf of Mexico. Now, there is a lot of energy in the ocean in the Gulf of Mexico. The temperatures are close to 90 degrees in the water out there. And so we're going to watch this very, very closely as Fred starts to as Tropical Storm Grace starts to intensify. Fred will be out of the picture, will be causing potentially flooding rains in the southeast part of the U.S., but the Gulf Coast residents won't have to worry about Fred anymore. Grace is going to be the story by mid to late week tomorrow into next weekend. So Grace very well could become a hurricane in this area, and I'll back out just a little bit more, threatening perhaps Louisiana or Texas or maybe even Alabama or Mississippi. So that's the latest on these storms. We'll keep you posted. I may do another update later on this afternoon or this evening. We get some more reconnaissance flights into the storm, and I'll show you just how warm that sea surface temperature is in the Gulf of Mexico. So thanks for watching this update. I'm meteorologist Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. This has been an update for the All Hazards Consortium Sensitive Information Sharing Environment, helping the utility vehicles and transportation navigate these highways when we have landfalling tropical systems, so they can get in and provide mutual assistance relief and get that power back on as soon. We'll see you again a little bit later today or tomorrow morning. Take care.